So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the other things that I find admirable, and I've taken notes plenty of times, is you have this, I'd say, like water off a seal's back, unflappable, like something comes your way, but it doesn't like stop you. You give it thoughtful consideration, and then it's like, here's the next thing we're doing, here's the next thing we're doing, here's the next thing we're doing. I think a lot of leaders might get deer in headlights. Did you always have that, or have you developed it? Like, what's something you would say about that?
I've always been pretty resilient, and I've always been, I was an athlete, so I was always, high jumping, playing football. I was always in things like that. And so when you're an athlete, you tend to learn how to play with an injury, play hurt, miss that field goal, and then still have to, come back and play next week. So I think that helped me a lot. And purely experience too. I think the biggest thing I can tell to young people is you have to have grit and determination and perseverance. And you can't allow things to stop you. If you think that life is a bowl of cherries and everything's going to work out according to your game plan, you're living in fantasy land, right? You're always going to have obstacles, problems, people, situations. And I guess I've had so many of them, and I had a choice: either crawl under my desk and suck my thumb, or go after it, and win. And so I've had, massive setbacks. I've had I had a couple losses. I had a lawsuit that went on for like 4 years. It was insane. I'm a person I took great care of, did a great job for, and literally insane. I had a controller that was embezzling from me, had to get over that. I had another individual who, had just done a terrible job in a bunch of different areas, and I had to overcome. So I've had so many times where I've had to overcome things. And even when I started my business, there were times, I used to have this joke with my father, he's now deceased, but I would have to trade checks with him. I'd go, Dad, I can't make the payroll this week. Can you loan me 10 grand? And that money will come in on Friday, so I'll write you a check for 10 grand and you can deposit it on Monday of next week. And that was like my loan account. So I would go to my dad and go, hey, lend me 5 grand, I can't make payroll. So I'm used to having, tough stuff. Sometimes I'd have to make payroll with a credit card advance, back in those days. And so I learned to just be tough. But I think toughness and resilience and perseverance will get you so far in life. You just can't be a little, oh, this problem happened, what am I going to do? And I'll tell you, my attitude has always been, some action is better than no action. I might not make the exact move, but I might have to move and adjust, but I need to be moving forward, okay? And so I think for young people, the biggest thing is to have perseverance, and to have, and with anybody, it doesn't have to be a young person, but I find a lot of young people are like, oh, I don't want to have this, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. And when you start to realize that, not everyone's going to see your vision, not everyone's going to have your energy, not everyone's going to necessarily be on board with you forever. I've had plenty of people that started with me that I thought were going to be with me and just didn't. They just didn't have the integrity, or they didn't have the skill set. And so I had to move on from them. And so I've just learned to be okay with that. I have something that I call that we all have to do, and I preach this a little bit. It's called embracing the process, okay? There is a process that we have in our Christian faith of sanctification, right? We're never perfect, right? We're trying to be like Jesus, but man, we fail virtually every day, 10 minutes after we wake up, right, on that deal. We should have done that, we should have done this, I should have said that, I should have helped that person, I should have, right? I don't do should-haves, okay? I do the best I can, I forgive myself, I embrace the process of moving forward, and I embrace the process of learning and teaching, even myself, okay? People are hard on themselves, right? Oh man, I gotta do more of this, I gotta do that. Stop beating up yourself, okay? Talk positively yourself, okay? And that's what I tell people. I think I read something, it was like 70% of our thoughts are negative generally, right? Only 30% positive. Well, let's try to flip that, okay? Take those negative thoughts, captive, and say, no, you know what, I am okay, I'm good. I had the pleasure of coaching the high jump kids, because I was a high jumper in high school and college, and over at King's Academy. And so the biggest thing, I teach them how to high jump, and I teach them how to run up, and I teach them all the skill sets. But I started to realize that the kids were so down on themselves, the negative self-talk was like blowing my mind. I was like, what are you saying to yourself? Somebody did the bar,
oh man, I always hit it with my butt. I'm like, well, that's nothing new. Every girl that knocks the bar over typically is with her butt. So what is that? Some like revelation or something? But stop saying things by yourself. I think the best thing I had that I did, besides teaching the kids how to hygiene, was to just stop talking down to yourself. Okay. Talk yourself up, man. You're good. You got this. You're okay. You talk to yourself every day. The person you have the most conversations with on a daily basis is simply yourself. Okay. And so knowing that, I'm going to talk positively to myself. I'm going to go, man, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through this. You know, when I was helping my wife through the cancer treatment, man, every minute was just curate. Hey, we're going to get through this. We got this. We're going to do this, man. We're okay. You did great. Well, you got that. Went through that MRI and CAT scan like a champ, you know? And so we just would talk ourselves up through really bad times, really dark times. You know, there's nothing fun about trying to get a IV started 3 or 4 times and your veins starting to hurt because the guys couldn't do a good job of it, you know? But hey, you know, we learn from those mistakes. But I think positive self-talk and having goals and writing out those goals. What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? How do you see yourself getting there? And then putting those things down and moving forward is the key.